All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Morgan here at Jotform. Thanks for joining me today. You may have noticed that this year we're taking some time to highlight some Jotform products and features that we haven't talked about in a while. We have a lot of new users, so the hope is that this helps familiarize those of you who are newer to Jotform or just haven't played around with all the features with our full suite of tools. In today's short but full session, I'm going to be highlighting our PDF editor, which you can use to turn your form data into professional custom PDFs. Most of our session today is a demo, but I am starting just with a couple minutes of background. So for those of you who aren't sure what PDF editor is or aren't sure if this might be useful for you, hopefully this will help get you on the right track before our demo. So when you're using Jotform, all of the data that you collect is shared in your account, is available to you in your account unless you decide to delete it. So it's always accessible there. But since we know that form data is often the start of a process versus the end of a process, your data is also automatically accessible to you in a variety of different formats as you move through your workflow so that you can interact with it however you need. With Jotform tables, you can see all responses in a database where you can filter, sort, download as a spreadsheet. You can also quickly create calendars, projects, and reports with tables so that you can visualize your data in a way that makes it easiest for you to understand. With Jotform's inbox feature, you can view all of your form responses in a built-in email client where you can respond to people who've submitted, you can comment, share, and download those messages, all without having to take the time to copy and paste that message into your personal email. So it really speeds up and streamlines communication. And anytime you go to download an individual response or multiple responses from Jotform, you'll see that you're able to download that data in a PDF format that you can then file away or share or whatever you need to do with it. That's what we're here to talk about today. That PDF can also be fully customized. There we go. By default, the PDF that you'll see will be clean but generic, and it will include all of the data that you're collecting in your form. If you have an approval workflow built into your form, you'll also see your approval status and an audit trail of approval actions. And if you're using Jotform Sign, you'll see something similar in the Sign PDF as well. These PDFs are ready to go without customization, but if you'd like to personalize them, you're absolutely able to. Using the PDF editor means that you can turn your Jotform data into clean, standardized documents that you can easily share. So it really helps facilitate communication with clients, customers, colleagues, or whomever else is in your process. Orders can become branded receipts for your customers, and applications that you receive can turn into uniform, easy to review documents that you can share throughout a hiring committee. The same goes for contracts, proposals, releases, consent forms, and really, again, whatever else it is that you do with Jotform. You can even integrate with other platforms to automatically send these PDFs wherever you need them to go, like your favorite cloud storage platform, project management tools, and mailing lists. So overall, pretty handy to use. A PDF editor leads to permanent, durable, and again, consistent and professional documents. Definitely wanted to keep this intro short so that we could go over into a demo for the rest of the session. So let me go out into Jotform and we can get started with that. I'm going to turn my camera off for the demo just so it's not in the way up here. So let me just stop that, and there we go. All right, so I am starting today's demo logged into my Jotform account on my Forms page. Here, for those of you who maybe are newer to Jotform quick page orientation, My Forms is what you'll see as soon as you log into Jotform. And since forms are the start of everything you do with Jotform, it makes sense that forms are the first thing you see. All of my active forms are here in the center of the page. I have form organization on the left-hand side. I can create a form right here. And then up here, there's a drop-down menu where I can navigate to other Jotform landing pages. So if I want to see all of my signed documents, for example, I can switch to my signed documents and I'll see a format very similar to what I see here, but for my signed documents instead of forms. When it comes to your PDFs, those are basically a function of your forms. So you're going to find them where you find forms. So we're going to stick here on the My Forms page. There are two key ways that you'll be able to access the PDF editor. The first will be to hover over one of these, one of your active forms. You'll see that when I do that, a couple of options of what I can do with that form pop up. And if I look under more, I have a comprehensive list of everything I can do with my form. In the data section here are all of the ways that you can see your data from Jotform, and Open PDF Editor is the last option here. So that's the first way. If you want to get directly to that PDF, you can do that. You can also get to the PDF by opening this up in the form builder. So we'll open up that More menu again and hit Edit. Form Builder is where you would go to build and edit your forms. So this form is complete at this point, but if I needed to make any visual changes, I can do that on the right-hand side. If I wanted to add any additional form elements or move things around, I can pull in elements from the left-hand side here, and I can move things just by dragging and dropping them. We have a pretty straightforward expense reimbursement form here, and I want to just highlight the fields that we see here because I'm going to point out how these transfer over to the PDF. So we see employee name, email address, and manager email. Here, the employee can list their expenses for reimbursement. Total cost is calculated automatically, and there's a space for them to sign, certifying this at the bottom of the page. This is enabled with Jotform Sign, so it's a little bit of an official signature there. To get to the PDF for this, I'm going to again look for that drop-down menu that I pointed out earlier. But when you're within a form or a table or any of the other specific things within Jotform, so if you're in your form, for example, when you click this drop-down menu, it's going to take you to that tool for this form instead of a landing page. So if I wanted to see the table of all of the data from here, I can click Table. If I wanted to go to the inbox, and PDF Editor will take me to the PDF specific to this form. All right, so give that a second to load and we should see that now. So now we have the PDF for the form. Here is the PDF editor. This is the exact same thing that I showed you how to get to earlier. It's just two ways to get to the same spot. From here, I can edit this PDF as I need, and I can also access any previous submissions to this form and view them in this PDF format. So quick page orientation here, you'll see design elements on the right-hand side and additional elements that you can add to the PDF on the left, just like you'll see in Forms. So the layout of the page overall is almost identical to Forms. From the PDF directly, you can send this off. So you can send it by link or email. You can print it from here and you can download it. We can also preview the PDF, so we'll see exactly what it looks like if we do take any of those actions. So we'll see what it looks like as an attachment or as a download, etc. You can scroll through and see the entirety of it there. For this PDF, this is not the default design, as you probably guessed already. I have made some changes to this. I am going to walk you through looking at what the basic design looks like and how you can make these changes. So I'll show you a little bit of a live demo, but I do want to just point out what changes I've made here. So first, I've changed the color here. I have bumped up the fields that pertain to contact information to the upper right-hand corner. And in the center, I've added the expense list here, so it's really easy to see. I've given it some space around it. The signature is at the bottom, and the approval status and approval activity history are on a second page. I have done this by moving fields around. I haven't added any new fields, but again, if I wanted to add any new fields, I could do that here. I did add some organizational fields, actually. We'll come back to that. So starting from design, again, on the right-hand side of the page is where you have design elements. The gear icon here gives you settings overall for the PDF. So you can change the naming convention. You can create a template. So if you create a template here that you want to replicate in other forms, you can do that here and save this. One key thing I want to point out here is that you can enable password protection. So if you have something that you are going to be sharing and you need a little extra security, you can add password protection to the PDF and make sure that you share that with anybody who will be accessing the PDF. So again, general settings here. Above that are our design elements. and that is broken out into 3 separate tabs. I'll come back to templates at the end of the session, but I did want to point out the others. So general, you can choose the size of the page, the orientation of the page. Here's where I apply the background color. You can do that, or you can choose an image that you want to apply to the background. In the element style tab, you can choose the way the fields are aligned. So whether responses are going to appear underneath the name of that field or next to the name of that field. And you can also change the fonts for the question and the answer. So it gives you some visual input there. On the add elements side, on the left-hand side, again, 2 tabs here. I'm going to start with form fields just because that's slightly more basic here. So again, by default, you will see all of your form fields pulled into this PDF. But if you need to remove any and then add it back in, you can do that from here. So you see here all of the fields from the form. In basic elements, you'll see pretty much everything else. So things that pertain to the form but aren't form fields, like approval status and approval activity history. Those, again, will be added by default, but you can always, if you remove them and want to add them back in, you can do that here. You can also add things like the form title, submission date, the IP address for the person submitting, and the submission ID here. So again, things that don't appear as fields on the form, but are relevant to the form. And then above that are elements that allow you to make changes to the PDF itself. These will not impact the form in any way. But if you want to add a heading to a section here, so let's say I wanted to add this heading up here at the top, can add in a heading. You can add in images, which is what I've done here with the apple. Lines you can see here, so lines and empty space and box. I'll give you some organizational elements to the page. So I have lines here and spaces included to separate my sections a bit. And box allows you to add a larger box that you can add different pieces to. Last thing I want to point out here before going to the from scratch example is that in addition to editing your PDF from here, you can also view all of your submissions as PDFs from here. So you can see at the top here that this says this is submission 17 of 17. And if I hit one of these arrows to go back, we can see that submission change. So now we're looking at submission 16, 15, 14, etc. So you can also access all of your PDF submissions from this spot. And again, you can download, print them, share them from here directly. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go back to my home here, and I'm going to create a PDF from scratch. I'm going to be using this sample job application, and I'm going to get to that PDF. Whoops, wrong tab there. 1 sec to go back there. I'm going to get to that, the PDF editor from here in the More menu. And right now we're seeing some test data in here that I have already played around with. If this is your first time accessing the PDF, you will see some just demo submission data. So something in here so that you can see what your PDF will look like. And I have not made any changes to the PDF other than adding some data here. So this is what your PDFs will look like by default. Again, you can see all of the elements pulled in. I didn't show you the form, but I assure you these are all of the elements on this job application. So let's say if you have done hiring before, you probably know applications and resumes can look like many different things, but this is one way that you can standardize everything, make it really easy for your hiring team to find all of the information they need for every candidate in the same place. So again, we see all of the application information here, and this also has an approval workflow built in, so we can see approval status here. And we can see approval actions here as well. So I am going to turn this into, a slightly designed document, nothing too fancy. I'm not particularly design-minded, so, nothing, like I said, nothing too fancy. But first, I'll just change the background color. So just like I did with the other example, make this kind of coral color here. Again, I can also go into the element style tab and change fonts. I'm going to leave everything the same here, but if I wanted to, I could change fonts from there. Other than that, one thing I want to do is drag and drop some of these fields around to change the organization of the page. So just like in the other example, I'm going to add a new page at the bottom here. You'll see that adds a second page. And I'm going to just drag and drop these approval status fields to that second page. So it's super simple to make any changes, as you can see. If you've used the form builder, you'll see, it's very similar to that. You can move things by dragging and dropping. When you click on a field, you'll have settings that pertain specifically to that field. You can duplicate a field here with this second button, and you can also remove fields here as well. Again, if I remove that field, I can always go back and add it back in. So that was the approval activity history, and I can do that right here. Another thing that I want to do here is add some space between all of the information and the space where they can add in their resume. So I'll do that just by, I'll do the same thing I did with the other one, adding in a line and empty space here so that it's really clear that this is a separate section of the PDF and of the responses. Last thing I want to point out here is just adding in that box. I mentioned you can use the box for a lot of things. In this case, let's say I want to add in a section for the PDF where I can make notes during interviews. So I can call this interview notes, and I can add in a text box to this box here where I can say, interviewed today, viewed today, move to next stage. So now these appear on the PDF, but again, they're not impacting the form in any way. You can use this for a lot of different things. You can add images to a box, etc. You see another box up here at the top by default that has the heading and the date included as well, with the name of the form included at the top as well. So that is pretty much everything I wanted to show for the demo. I did promise I'd go back to templates, so I want to look at that. So let's pull those up. These templates pertain specifically to the PDF, and you can see that there are a ton of categories here. So if you are, like me, not particularly design-minded, but want something that's a little bit more designed than the default PDF, you can come here, look for the category that pertains to what you're creating, and you'll see a number of templates for that category. So this is an employment application. So I've clicked employment application, and now you can see a bunch of different sort of resume or employment application templates that we can impose onto this PDF. So for example, I can choose that one, say this seems like a good fit for my organization, I want to use that format, or if that doesn't work, I can choose another one. You'll see that it does migrate over the template. You may need to do some reconfiguring with some of the fields to add some additional things to add back some of the form fields. So if the default template layout here doesn't include a form field, you can always pull that back in. So let's say we want to pull in the LinkedIn, their LinkedIn address, and you can add additional elements the same way that you would if you were creating this from scratch. All right, so that is the end of our PDF demo. I do want to show two more things in the form itself. I mentioned in the slides that you can share your PDFs automatically in a couple of different ways. So I'm again pulling up a form in the form builder. You'll find both of these things that I'm going to show under settings. The first is integrations. So you can choose to automatically send the PDF version of your data to a couple of different places. Cloud storage is one of those. So for example, if you use Box, you can set up the Box integration, and you can see here there is a note that you can automatically send signed and finalized PDF documents over. There are a couple of options for project management tools and email partners. So if there is a process that you're using where you have an integration, that there's another tool that is a part of that process, and you want to add the PDF, just look for the integration here on the integrations tab of the settings page, and see what that does. If you have any questions about any of that, I would recommend getting in touch with our support team. They can absolutely help you out with that. Last thing I wanted to mention is I also said that you can send these through email. So with your forms, there are two basic emails that are attached to your forms. The first will be a notification form, notification email. That is an email that the person who owns the account or somebody tied to the account receives when somebody submits to the form. So in this case, I've created this form. I'm receiving a notification email anytime somebody submits an expense reimbursement. The other option here doesn't say, but it's an auto responder, and this goes to the person who submitted the form. So for either of these, either the notification or the autoresponder, you can add the PDF so that when that email goes out, the PDF will automatically be attached. This can be really handy for things like receipts for customers that are purchasing from you, maybe job requisitions or requests for proposals where you want both parties to have that finalized PDF version to have on their files. Any reason that you need to share that, you can do that here. You'll find that under Advanced. And for either of these, it'll be in the same spot under Advanced. And for either one, all you need to do is look for this Attach PDF line and toggle that to On. So now when this autoresponder goes out, it will go out with the PDF version of the response attached to it. All right, I'm going to bring us back to the slides to close us out with some resources, and then we have a couple of minutes for Q&A as well. So let me open this back up, and I will come back on my screen. So I wanted to close with a few resources if you'd like to learn more about PDF Editor. I already mentioned our support team. If you are using PDF Editor and having any issues, support is an excellent resource for that. And I definitely recommend getting in touch with them. They are at jotform.com/contact. Super easy to get in touch with, and they usually respond within a couple of hours. So pretty quick turnaround there. Sorry, one more thing I want to show, actually, forgot this last thing. So I did show templates that you can find in the PDF editor itself, but there are also templates that are attached to forms. So if you're starting from scratch and you want a nicely designed PDF while you're setting up your form, and again, you don't want to have to do it all yourself, there are templates that you can use there as well. And you'll find that anywhere within Jotform. Look for templates up here in that blue bar that I just showed. Here's the full template library. You'll see some that are enabled with Jotform Sign, so you can go through the whole sign process, and there are some that aren't. For any of these, let's say you want a cleaning proposal template, you can come here, see this nicely designed PDF, and I think most of them have, again, forms attached to them as well. Let's try another one. This one does. So here we can preview the PDF for this job quote template, and we can also preview the form that's affiliated with it. If this is something that would be relevant to you, you could use this, click Use Template. That will clone a copy of the form and the PDF into your account where you can make any changes you need to from there. All right, back to those slides to close us out. So you'll find those templates at jotform.com/PDF-templates. You can see a summary page, the landing page for the PDF editor on our website, and that link is right here. So that summarizes a lot of the features that I talked about here today. And then I have two older webinars I want to point you to here. These are 3 and 4 years old. So as far as the demo, they're a little bit outdated, but there is some really good information that my colleague Annabelle added to both of these webinars that I did want to point out. So they're both pretty short, about 20 minutes. Definitely recommend checking them out if you want a fuller picture of the PDF editor overall. This was very demo heavy. These will give you a little bit more background information. So this first one, Jotform PDF features you need to know, explores all of the features of PDF editor with slides for each of those. And then the second one here talks about a lot of the benefits of using PDFs and actually shows some live examples of folks who've used PDF editor and what they're using them for and what their key benefits are. Yeah, the last thing I want to mention, I'm sure this has come up in questions because it always does, is that we will have this webinar available on our YouTube channel and our site soon. So it will be available on YouTube today, but we'll also send a link in the next couple of days. So you'll see all of these resources attached to the webinar on our YouTube channel. You can find us at youtube.com/thejotform youtube.com/thejotform for this webinar, all our other webinars, and all of our other videos. So great resource for videos from us overall. Again, this will be up there today, and you'll receive an email in the next couple of days as well with a link to that. We do have a couple of minutes for Q&A. Again, yep, see a bunch of questions about accessing the recording. Yes, so absolutely check out our YouTube channel for that, or you can find these on jotform.com/webinars. Can I create fillable PDF forms using Jotform? Yes. So In the templates that I showed, there are some examples there. Let me go back to that template library. Again, if you have questions about this and how to set this up, that would be a great reason to connect with our support team as well. But you can see an example of that here with the PDF here. Sorry, so this is a sign PDF, sign compatible PDF, where you can see this is a leasing agreement. These are fields, these orange fields are ones that the landlord or the lessee would be filling out. So yes, you absolutely can create a fillable PDF, and this will create a final version where these fields appear as filled. There are a lot of questions. I'm going to try to read through some of these. Oh gosh. Okay. A lot about the recording. Okay. A couple questions. Look, I'm seeing Excel mentioned a couple of times. So, hard time getting my files. Okay. So you're sharing your forms with other businesses and having a hard time getting your files saved in Excel format. So you were able to download as a spreadsheet, but you also want to be able to download as a PDF. Yes. Yeah, you can do that. Let me show you the easiest way to get to that too. So close this out and go back to my forms. I mentioned this is the landing page for my forms. So you can also navigate to tables from here to go to the landing page for tables. Here you'll see all of your tables attached to your Jotform forms, but you can also create new tables as well. And if you have an Excel file that you want to pull into Jotform, you can do that by importing data. When you do import data, when you have a table, anything from the table, you can easily download as both Excel and as a PDF. You can do this from other places as well, but this is probably the easiest way to do both of those at the same time. So here we're looking at the submissions for that expense reimbursement. And right here, you can see that download all button. So that allows me to download this entire table as a CSV or Excel, as well as download all of these as individual PDF or a file for all of these as a PDF response. If you just want a couple of them or one of them, you can click on the ones you need and same thing. So now you see it says download to, and you can do the same thing, download a CSV, Excel, or PDF. If you do download as an Excel, there's nothing that stops you from also, again, downloading as a PDF or a CSV. So if you already have this as Excel, you can download in the other formats as well. All right. What was the other Excel question since I'm looking at Excel? I have an Excel sheet, a large Excel sheet. Each is a row of answer in a survey. I want to convert that into a PDF. Yeah. Okay. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet, but you want to be able to easily create PDFs from that, you can do exactly what I just mentioned. I've got to get back to the right tab. So you can upload your Excel file to tables. You may need to rename some of the field headings or something like that, but all that data will pull over. It'll create something like this. And again, from here, you can download any of these responses as a PDF. If you do that, if you're starting from tables, you probably want to make sure you're designing that PDF as well. So again, you can always navigate to the PDF from here directly. So this is the expense reimbursement form table. We're now back at the expense reimbursement form PDF. All right. So somebody asking about once a PDF is completed, is there a place for us to add someone to get a copy of the submission? Or will that be something you have to do through the approval process? So yeah, there are a couple of ways that you can get the PDF sent out. Again, here from the PDF directly, you can email people. But if you go back to that, again, trying to get back to the right spot here, let me open up one of those forms. If you go back into the form builder and back to that autoresponder and the notification email, those can go to anybody you'd like. So by default, the autoresponder is going to the person who submitted the form. And by default, the notification email is going to the person who set up the form. So you can see notification here is going to me since I created the form. But you can always edit that. So the second tab here is a recipients tab. So here I could add additional names here. So if you want this to automatically go to multiple people, you can do that there. I think you can add up to 5. It may be more than that. Gosh. All right. So I see a couple of people confused about the timing of the webinar. It did, in fact, start at 11 Pacific. I just looked at my phone to convert the time. So apologies if that was not correct in Zoom. I will definitely double check on that and check in with Zoom if there are any issues. I do see a lot of comments about that. So again, very sorry about that. Again, you will receive the recording. You can find it on our YouTube channel today, jotform.com, youtube.com/the Jotform. And again, feel free to get in touch with me if you'd like me to send you a link directly. I can do that as well. I'm also happy to answer any questions, or I can connect you with our support team if you have additional questions. You can find me at morgan@jotform.com. So definitely reach out to me if you have questions or comments, or want to share your use cases of how you're using the PDF editor. And I'd be happy to hear from you. And on that note, I'm going to close the webinar today. Thank you all for being here. And we have another webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. So hopefully we'll see you there. Stay tuned.